Hi everybody, I hope you're all doing really well. Back today to do my 10 before the end, which is a video in which I will talk about 10 books that I am very keen to read before the end of 2025. I've seen a few booktubers do this video. It's always really good fun, a kind of informal TBR for the end of the year. So without much further ado, let's just get straight into these books. So I always have to have a couple of Christmassy books on the docket, and so the first one that I have to show you today is The 12 Days of Christmas by Susan Stokes Chapman. I have previously read Pandora by this author, which I quite liked, as well as a couple of short stories that she's written. And when I saw this beautiful, beautiful thing, I just could not say no to this. The air glitters with hope as the snowy village of Merrywake celebrates the Christmas season after the tumult of the Napoleonic Wars. As the Viscount's famous 12th night ball draws closer, many of Merrywake's villagers have a story to tell. We meet a lovelorn vicar and a kindly maid, reunited after a misunderstanding. 3 sisters vying for the hand of a dastardly duke, 2 servants hiding a dangerous secret, and a soldier making his way home, unsure of the welcome he might receive. As their tales breed together, we see life and love in the village from below stairs to high society. Reimagining each of the traditional carol's gifts and written in tribute to Jane Austen and Georgette Heyer, The 12 Days of Christmas is a collection of festive tales filled with seasonal cheer and heartwarming characters. Will the challenges and mysteries that the Viscount's guests encounter be resolved by the night of the ball? I've been slowly getting into short story collections. So this one, where it is short stories but they're all tied around the same event, the same little village, sounds really appealing to me. And also, can we take a moment for the beautiful, beautiful end papers of this book? I think this is almost certainly making my video for most beautiful books. A different kind of Christmassy read for me is A Very British Christmas, Your Festive Survival Guide by Rob Temple, who you might know as the creator of the Very British Problems social media accounts. This is non-fiction, and it is basically about all of the mishaps that come before you when you're celebrating Christmas with your friends and family, and some very British reactions to it. A one-of-a-kind survival manual for everybody's least favourite aspect of the holiday season, having to spend it with your family. Christmas, as we all know, is a minefield. What the hell do you buy your mother-in-law? How to deal with the inevitable arguments provoked by a simple game of Monopoly, and where should you sit at the dining table to best avoid Grandad when he starts going off about politics? From navigating the awkwardness of marrying into a presents after dinner family, to the terrors of staying in someone else's house, especially when they have a weak flush, Very British Problems creator Rob Temple is here to ensure you'll be invited back next year. This just seems like very good fun, so I am very excited to read this. Next up, we have a fiction book, a historical fiction book that I'm currently reading, which is Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. This so far has just been a very immersive historical fiction set in the Victorian period. I didn't know really anything about the plot of this. I've just heard such great things about Sarah Waters, and I've been very gripped by what I've read so far. London, 1862. Sutrinda, orphaned at birth, grows up among petty thieves, fingersmiths, under the rough but loving care of Mrs. Suxby and her family. But from the moment she draws breath, Sue's fate is linked to that of another orphan, growing up in a gloomy mansion not too many miles away. And that little blurb really doesn't give too much away from what I've read so far, so I'm looking forward to reading more. Another short story collection that is on my list to finish is The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, a collection by Deesha Philyaw. I remember so many people singing the praises of this book a few years ago, and it was actually a book club book for my work when my work used to do a book club, but unfortunately I just never got around to it. I've so far read about 3 or 4 stories in here so far. I'm currently up to Peach Cobbler before I set it down ahead of my move, but I'm very, very keen to get back to this. The Secret Lives of Church Ladies explores the raw and tender places where black women and girls dare to follow their desires and pursue a momentary reprieve from being good. The 9 stories in this collection feature 4 generations of characters grappling with who they want to be in the world, caught as they are between the church's double standards and their own needs and passions. There is 14-year-old Jael who has a crush on the preacher's wife. At 42, Lyra realises that her discomfort with her own body stands between her and a new love. As Y2K looms, Caroletta's same time next year arrangement with her childhood best friend is tenuous. A serial mistress lays down the ground rules for her married lovers. In the dark shadows of a hospice parking lot, grieving strangers find comfort in each other. With their secret longings, new love, and forbidden affairs, these church ladies are as seductive as they want to be, as vulnerable as they need to be, as unfaithful and unrepentant as they care to be, and as free as they deserve to be. Next up, another very lauded book that I'm keen to get to is There Are Rivers in the Sky by Elif Shafak. And I swear I cannot be the only musical theatre fan who sees this title and starts singing, "There are rivers in the sky." And yeah, I've not seen anybody else do it. Show yourselves Into the Woods fans, I know you're out there. I actually know very, very little about this story other than the fact that so many people have praised it, and I think it's following a drop of water. There's some historical fiction thrown in there, but otherwise, Not a thing. In Victorian London, an extraordinary child is born at the edge of the dirt-black Thames. When his brilliant memory earned him a spot as an apprentice at a printing press, the world opens up far beyond the slums and across the seas. In 2014 in Turkey, Noreen, a Yazidi girl living by the river Tigris, waits to be baptised. The ceremony is cruelly interrupted, and soon she and her grandmother must journey across war-torn lands in the hope of reaching the sacred valley of their people. In 2018 in London, broken-hearted Zalika, a hydrologist, moves into a houseboat on the Thames to escape the wreckage of her marriage, until an unexpected connection to her homeland changes everything. A dazzling feat of storytelling for one of the greatest writers of our time, one that spans centuries and continents. This is the story of one lost poem, two great rivers, and three remarkable lives, all connected by a single drop of water. See, I knew the single drop of water meant something. Next up we have a book that I received from a publisher that I really love. I don't tend to get a whole lot of books from publishers. I tend to request things very, very sparingly, and often I don't get a response to it anyway. But I was delighted to get the approval for this one, and it is The Story of Tudor Art by Christina J. Faraday, a history of Tudor England through its art and objects, which, as the title suggests, is going through so many different facets of Tudor art, not just its paintings, but its fabrics, its textiles, sculpture, prints, tapestries, various different objects of the household or the court. This is published by Head of Zeus, who I believe also did the Hans Holbein biography by Franny Moyle. And that biography, like this book, had integrated images. And by that, I mean that when you flip through, you can actually see illustrations integrated in with the rest of the text rather than just bundled in the middle. And this book is just a thing of beauty. And I also just want to have a moment for the naked dust jacket, which, as you can see, has Tudor roses. Oh, it's so beautiful. So thank you very much to Head of Zeus for sending this to me. A unique illustrated history of Tudor England told through its art and artefacts. The Tudor dynasty, 1485 to 1603, gave England 5 monarchs and an age of relentless power plays, scandal and transformation. Thanks to artists like Hans Holbein the Younger, we feel we have a definite idea of the characters of these famous kings and queens: the miserly Henry VII, the 6 times married tyrant Henry VIII, the boy king Edward VI, the devout matriarch Mary I, and the Virgin Queen Elizabeth I. Yet, iconic as they are, when it comes to Tudor art, portraits and rulers are far from the whole story. In the 16th century, images and objects took on powerful new roles, as more people than ever before used them to shape their worlds. Monarchs, archbishops and courtiers continued to commission artworks in a variety of media to convey messages and create a record of themselves as office holders and individuals. But in this period, the middling sort, professional men and women were also gaining status, wealth and influence. They wanted to promote themselves too, and used art in a dazzling array of objects to do so. In this unique and beautiful book, Christina Faraday uses art, paintings, sculpture, prints, tapestries, embroideries, clothes, jewels and household objects to investigate every facet of the period. Beside dissecting familiar portraits of Tudor kings, queens and nobles, Faraday casts a forensic eye across a dynamic array of artefacts, giving the reader a vivid and detailed feel for the political, social, economic and cultural texture of 16th century England. Speaking of art, the next book I have is historical fiction, looking at an artist, and it is Madame Matisse by Sophie Haydock. This was actually on my radar about a year or so ago, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But when I saw it in a charity shop, I just had to snatch it up. This is a book that is looking at 3 different women who were linked to Henri Matisse, the artist. The explosive story of 3 women. 1, an orphan and refugee who is trying to create a future for herself on France's Golden Riviera. The 2nd, a wife and mother who has stood by her ambitious husband for nearly 40 years. The 3rd, a daughter caught in the crossfire between them all. Amélie is first drawn to Henri Matisse as a way of escaping the conventional life expected of her. A free spirit, she sees in this rebellious young artist a glorious future for them both. As a child, Lydia had to flee Russia, leaving her parents behind as revolution swept her homeland. Determined to rebuild her life, she is prepared to gamble her fate. Marguerite is Matisse's daughter. As her family's world implodes, she must find her own path and navigate divided loyalties. Based on a true story, Madame Matisse is a dazzling novel of drama and betrayal, passion and power, glamour and tragedy. Set in the hotbed of the 1930s art movement in France, it explores a world where, in art as in life, the rules are meant to be broken. Next up is a collection of essays, and it is The Lonely Stories, 22 celebrated writers on the joys and struggles of being alone. This is edited by Natalie Eve Garrett and has stories from Love Grossman, John Lahiri, Lena Dunham, Jasmine Ward, Yiyun Lee, Anthony Doerr and many others. I stumbled across this in a bookshop in October when I was feeling a little bit down. I ended up picking up this and Enchantment by Catherine May, which I read earlier in October, and they both seem to appeal to a mood that I I was in, or just generally things that I was thinking about. Enchantment appealed to me because I was in that lower mood and I was wanting a reminder of how to find like little pockets of joy. Whereas over the past few months, I've been thinking about my living situation, both present and future. I've been craving a lot of alone time. I am aiming in the future to be in a position where I am living on my own, but it has made me think about, oh God, can I actually hack that? I am an introvert. I am somebody who craves my alone time, but is that always necessarily practical? Is that something I'm actually going to enjoy once I have it? And so seeing this collection seemed perfect because it made me think, oh, I'll get a lot of nuance out of this, a lot of different perspectives. So I'm very much looking forward to digging more into these. If you're feeling lonely, or if you've ever felt unseen, if you're emboldened by solitude or secretly longing for it, welcome to The Lonely Stories. This cathartic collection of essays illuminates an experience that so few of us openly discuss. Some stories are heartbreaking, such as Jasmine Ward's reckoning with the loss of her husband, and Dina Nieri's reflection on immigrating to a foreign country. Others are witty, such as Lev Grossman's rueful tale of heading to the woods, or Anthony Doerr's struggles with internet addiction. Still, others celebrate the clarity of solitude, like Claire Dedera's journey towards sobriety, and Lydia Yuknovich's sensual look at desire. Thoughtful and affirming, The Lonely Stories reveals the complexities of an emotion we've all felt, reminding us that we're not alone. The 9th book, and the final one that I actually have on my physical TBR, is 364 Poems for Life by Allie Esiri. As you might be able to guess from the title, this is a poem for every day of the year, and I have been reading this since the 1st of January. The main theme of these poems is that they are uplifting, they're meant to be inspiring, and that's definitely what I've gotten from these, reading them every day. We've got poems both classic and contemporary from a multitude of different authors, and I've just really enjoyed my moment or two with them every day. And so I'm just generally looking forward to completing this year. Then we get to the 10th title on this 10 before the end. And actually, I want to get your input because I couldn't choose between 2 books that I've had my eye on and wondered if maybe you could help me choose my final book. Now, hopefully I can get through all of these books and maybe have time to get to 2 extra books in the year. But let's be realistic with ourselves, that might not happen. And so I'd love to get your thoughts on which one of these you think I should read. Firstly, we have Eleanor by Alice Loxton. I mentioned this in my November anticipated releases video. This is going to be coming out in November, and it's non-fiction history looking at the life and particularly the death of the Queen Consort Eleanor of Castile, who was the beloved wife of Edward I. In this book, Alice Loxton is trying to uncover more about this queen who has kind of been forgotten, going down at the 200-mile funeral route, along the way coming across the various Eleanor crosses, which Edward I commissioned in memory of his wife. And then the other book that we have to choose between is No Friend to This House by Natalie Haynes. I'm a big fan of Natalie Haynes. I love her Greek myth retellings. And in this book, we are getting her take on Jason and Medea. And yeah, I don't know if I need to say much more about this. It's Natalie Haynes, it's Jason and Medea, it's Greek mythology. What else more is there to know? So I'd love to get your thoughts on which of these 2 books I should prioritise. And as I say, who knows, I might be able to get to both of them before the end of the year. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. So there we go, those are my 10 before the end books that I'm quite hoping to get round to. Do let me know if you read any of the books on this list that I've spoken about today. Alternatively, please do let me know about any books that are on your end of the year TBR. I would love to hear from you. I hope you're having a fantastic, fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.